KT find a way to contend with them. I hear the music. I see some swirling. I think we're going to have champ select really soon.
Eventually. It's behind us, so you can see it for now.
Ah.
I'll write down my notes
you
as you guys can see. Galio is the first ban here. Interesting. And then, oh, that's Lucian and Victor. Okay, we'll just live cast all of the bans here for you guys.
Can you actually tell the right side bans?
Yeah.
Should I? I can see the Lucian.
Lucian's there. Left side is Galio Victor.
Uh-huh.
This is our new pick ban system. You guys can reach out to Riot Korea and tell them your feedback, what you guys think about this one. As Thresh
this is the same as LEC.
Is the next one.
I watched LEC. It's the same as this, right? They're saying the faces are too big.
Yeah. we're here, guys. You know, they know what you want to look at, right? It's not the draft.
We're testing the theory that people love Papa, right? They love Papa and Valdez. So show Papa and Valdez in the big.
Yeah.
This is the way we like it.
You guys don't need to see the game or anything
Feeling
behind
great
us,
about this
right?
one. I'm loving it. Loving it. All right.
We're just the comic relief, you know, in front of the game. You know, the game hasn't started, so it's like, you know, the streamers that do the full zoom on them while it's pick ban, and then they move it back. Well, some streamers move it back.
Well, a notable ban, you can see it. Oh, let's try and do this. Oh, this is actually very hard. Trying to work out where my pen is. Over there. Over there is the Karma's the final ban. And now we're full screen, baby.
Sorry, guys. I know you like the new version here.
Are you apologizing for the change of scene or the Yasuo first pick?
The change of scene, of course. The Yasuo first pick, I don't really know what to think. I mean, it worked, right, because Lehens kind of gave them 2 kills, but then they couldn't actually roll that into winning the game. So definitely a question. We'll have to wait and see if it gets answered.
Well, we're back to disembodied heads now. We're only voices in the ears of the fans. Yasuo first pick. We'll see how far the flex goes. Here's a bet. It's going to be mid lane for Yasuo against Zoe. I think we're going to get Chovy versus BDD on the matchup you see. That's what I'm hoping for. And I heard your sucking in of air, Valdez, and I know why you gasped. Tarzan has locked in the champion that I told the fans that only Score and the only champion Tarzan and Score don't play has historically been the Lee Sin. But you and I were speaking before the game, and I said today Tarzan will lock in Lee Sin. And I realized it's already locked in, so I don't sound like a prophet. So I'll just get to the reasoning. The reasoning why is that on Tarzan's stream, he was popping off on this champion mechanically a couple of days ago. So it's actually his first competitive Lee Sin game since when he was a 17-year-old rookie in 2017. Wow. Ever since that 14-0 Challenger season into summer last year, he has never played Lee Sin. So very notable that he joins now basically everyone in the LCK in being a Lee Sin player.
Lots of ultra clean Lee Sin nowadays. You don't have to look further than Clid as part of SKT, but now Tarzan, he was getting jealous. He wants to show his Lee Sin mechanics off, so we will get that up against KT, who say, enough with this. BDD will be jumping onto the LeBlanc.
And I'm giving you a job, Valdez. You need to rate Tarzan's first LCK Lee Sin on a scale of 1 to Clid. That's what you have to rate him on. We'll see how he does on the 1 to Clid scale.
Okay. Okay. We'll see how that goes.
Don't try and be tricky and say punch, all right? We're going 1 to Clid.
Can it be better than Clid, though, right? Can't we go off the scale?
I gave you a scale. I leave you to rate.
Is Clid a 10?
I leave you to rate.
Okay.
You can work that part out. We'll zoom in on the bans here, and given that no jungler has been claimed by KT yet, I see 1 jungle ban. Interesting to see a Yorick ban. So this suggests that perhaps Sword doesn't want to return to Fiora. His trusty Scion available. His trusty Urgot available. Urgot priority this week, inexplicably gone. The Nurse are coming on 9.4 if you look at the PBE, but Urgot's really good on 9.3. He escaped the attention that Akali and Aatrox and other champions got a lot more closely. There was a Mordekaiser ban. Let's just leave that one there.
To me, that's like, oh, I have 1 second left. What am I going to ban? I'll just click somewhere randomly. Okay, it's Mordekaiser. Well, we usually like to give the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure that we can this time, Papa.
Haven't spotted that in the solo queue of Viper, but very possible. That's something that Viper or Lehens has been practicing in scrims. Probably Viper, given that the Alistair's already locked in here. Another champion who can go to Frostmancy, and that's probably why, Valdez, because what were we saying? Because the
two of them right there.
And the big thing we were talking about, right? You and I, during the break, I was discussing how, yes, you can play Ezreal Frostmancy in the LEC, in the LCS. The reason why? Because you've obviously heard it's been nerfed. That part is true, but in a duo lane, it hasn't been changed. Kennen going to be claimed here. This could be a bot lane Kennen for Zenit. This is a trend that started by Fury, who loves the bot lane AP Kennen. It's a very possible thing we're going to be seeing in this game, and it could also be Smeb's legendary top lane Kennen against Urgot. More likely to be top lane now that we think about it.
Yeah.
And we're initiating at this point. How about another knock-up for the Yasuo?
We're going all in. We're going straight on into the pit with Jarvan and the rest of the crew. You get all the knockups. You have Kennen going face first into these fights, and BDD for some cleanup there on the LeBlanc. Like this kind of comp, it kind of reminds you of the KT style.
So what is Lehens playing is the last question. We'll get into some of the Frostmancy shenanigans in-game. Once again, approach, it's Darius. Ooh. And where is this Darius going is something we have to wait and see. Darius Flex was played by Summit already. How are they going to line up here? Viper could be on bot lane Darius because against Yasuo, that's the matchup here. Now remember, there can be more swaps. You might have to be chasing around, but they had last pick for bot lane. It seems like Darius to counter Yasuo and Gragas, 2 melee champions, is the decision by Griffin.
Everybody knows that Darius's big axe is really good against melee champions, as you highlighted. Griffin trying to turn the tables and say, you're too predictable with this. Now, it's definitely Yasuo Gragas in the bot lane. How do we counter that with our red side counter pick? It's Darius.
And let's ask Valdez a quiz question. Who was our first bot lane Darius in the LCK? Because I believe it was Faker lining up in bot lane.
You know, I guess so. Yeah,
exactly.
I remember that.
Remember that?
He played that.
In a duo lane
actually
for
happened.
A bit.
Yeah.
So, joining that great company is Viper. There were so many changes in direction in this draft. The moment we saw the Kennen, we're like, it could be bot. Wait, no, it's Smeb in the top lane against Urgot. A matchup so famous in the LEC, seen many top laners there. Priority picking the Kennen, and Smeb probably the best Kennen of all time. We'll be running on that, so you say, okay, Kennen over Urgot, that part feels good. The mid lane ended up being LeBlanc into Zoe rather than the Yasuo Zoe farm lane. That's also pretty good for the side of KT. But now the Darius of all things to punish double melee in the bot lane. They banned away the Frostmancy, but they still can't keep Viper honest.
No, they can't. This guy, his bag of tricks is very large. As he pulls another one out, the Darius will be joining us in the bottom lane up against Yasuo Gragas. We're going to be jumping into game number 2 right now, guys. KT up against Griffin. The Griffin chance, understandably very large as well. This is something you can do in the top lane too. Smeb, though, is going to Lightning Rush into the brush. Not sure about this one, Smeb, as they're trying to push them away now, and it looks like he will get away. MT taking a bit of damage now as the rest of KT desperately trying to get up here to save him, as at least he got the Klepto proc.
And you understand why that happened, because Kennen wants to take Lightning Rush at level 1 with Kleptomancy and even more gold generation and get Quest and Klepto procs at level 1. You do that against a tank matchup, and you go in and you're fine as Zenit face-checked a level 1 Darius. Let's talk about this.
At least he has
Is there
flash.
any champion more scary to face-check alone at level 1 than the combination of either Urgot or Darius? These are champions who at level 1 are unbelievably powerful. How many people have tried to walk through a tri-brush to top lane against a Darius and given up first blood? That is one of the most common things that will happen in solo queue. If it's a team, then Braum is maybe scarier, but when it comes to solo threats...
Olaf's also annoying.
Exactly, but Urgot and Darius are right up the top there.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to talk about in this game, both in terms of lane assignments and also champions, that you're going to have to rein me in, Valdez. I could just go on a monologue about all the cool things that happen in the draft historically and between these lane matchups. The one thing I want to talk about is specifically KT's bans of Mordekaiser Ezreal. Want to, again, have that teacher. I tweeted about this. Frostmancy in solo lanes, like Kennen's doing, that is removed. when it comes to the LEC, which is later tonight, and the LCS that goes live tomorrow. In a duo lane, you're within 1500 range of your ally, so it's still possible. And the question I was asking you, I was sitting there saying, okay, if you ban Ezreal, or if you just say Ezreal can't build Frostmancy, Frostfang, is it fine? Is this going to be fine?
Well,
yes.
Is it fine? I don't know, Lahens. Is it?
It's just an extension of Lahen's game number 1.
Yeah, well, he's angry. He's an angry bull now as he blows his flash for no reason. Did not get the gank off that he wanted this time.
But just to finish, you and I were thinking, we were racking our brains thinking, is there another champion other than Ezreal that can realistically proc the quest in lane on a Frostfang and get away with it? And we thought, okay, maybe Ashe would be okay, doesn't get much out of the AP. Draven gets nothing out of AP but can proc it with his Q. The one we didn't talk about was the Mordekaiser, who of course can go very happily and wave clear and poke with that. That's why there was 2 bans, to stop Frostmancy bot lane and Lahen's getting far.
Take a look at the path here from He went all the way around, and now Sword might have to flash from this one. Will go for the disdain and gets away from the flag and drag. But now Urgot in the top lane will not have his flash.
First good moment of this game. Face-checking Urgot at level 1 was the mistake that Kennen made. You can lightning rush into everyone except maybe Darius and Urgot and be fine. Went in, almost died for his trouble. Did get a sack of gold, though. And looking at the quest, it's at 140 gold. Remember, he needs 500 gold before he realistically starts farming.
And seems totally fine to fight over small little Krugs as Tarzan gets on in, steals a bunch of Raptors. Feeling pretty good about that one for Tarzan.
I watched Smeb, as the turret hit the melee minion twice, have this moment of, do I CS it or do I not? He went for one because Urgot was in range of his jungler and thought I should have enough time before the quest penalty runs out, but how much does it suck to have to avoid CS on purpose? So weird.
It's just so counterintuitive, right? It's just everything, and you guys mentioned this before, like 9 years. I know a lot of these guys haven't been playing 9 years,
7,
but
6?
All of the years, multiple years of League of Legends where you have to learn how to CS very, very well. And then you're just like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore.
Do
That's
notice,
not my thing.
and again, you can't really practice this at home because this is no longer live on the live client, but in the world where you could play Frostmancy Cannon topside, you max Q first to get the CDR on Q, so you have an ability to proc your Kleptomancy more often. So if you're playing Klepto Cannon, just go straight for the Q max, just so you can throw that one out. You don't even have to throw it at minions if you don't want to push lane. Throw it backwards, but then your auto attacks get the Kleptomancy procs.
Yeah. You just have to use an ability, which is always fun. We take a first look at the mid lane, which seems very even so far. Chovy versus BDD, LeBlanc versus Zoe. As I mentioned before, this is just so refreshing compared to Galio versus Urgot and stuff like that. We have a fun mid lane again, guys.
It's one that should be advantage LeBlanc, just because she should be a little bit more slippery, and her targeted burst can also be pretty comparable to Zoe's at different parts of the game. Cleanse taken by Chovy, and the ignite there from BDD. BDD was kind of the king of solo kills in the mid lane for a while there after week 1 of the LCK, but looked definitely second best to Chovy, even though he was in a good matchup in game number 1.
Take a look at the gold in the top side because Urgot has been denied so much, and he has a giant wave coming in. He's so far behind on CS to the point where actually Smeb was even with him with the Frostmancy build. Here so far, won't be the same after he picks up that wave, but now trying to get on top of Chovy here. That is going to land, but he does have cleanse and even flashes away from that one. Follow-up trouble bubble.
Oh!
Trying to get nasty here. Nearly gets him, but flashes in for the kill. First blood goes to Chovy, but has he got too far? No! The miss is Chovy is going to sidestep, and goes down Chovy. What a madman.
Give this man the full zoom. Give this man a raise. He just punked 2 members of KT, and he did it in style.
I said it, the mid lane is fun again, and having Chovy here in our league is always lots of fun.
This is just outrageous play from Chovy because he doesn't go full defensive. This is not Sword on Fiora. Watch from here. He flashes because he's respecting Ignite Burst from BDD. He goes in here, he picks up a second flash, gets the kill. That part's normal, but watch this play. He goes in for more damage to taunt and then casually sidesteps as Tarzan is backing up. And we don't have enough time to also talk about an amazing play that happened in the top side. It's a lot less interesting for a lot of viewers, But what happened there is, you remember that grouped minion wave that was pushing into an Urgot who had just no CS?
Yeah.
I'm actually unsure about the visual bug here. That's what I'm wondering. I guess it wasn't a visual bug. The reason why I want to talk about it is that what had happened is that Tarzan had gone straight topside, control warded the tri-brush, and was standing in the brush behind that usually people turret dive at to allow the minion wave to be guaranteed his mid lane.
Oh no, BDD, can he get away from this one? The answer is absolutely not. Tarzan just gonna manner kick the Jarvan away. Nice little Hex Flash played there as Griffin come together for another kill onto BDD.
And the reason why I talk about Tarzan doing everything to guarantee that Urgot didn't lose the top lane CS wave and getting to mid lane means the super play is both on a micro and a macro level. Speaking of a macro super play,
he's back. He's gonna have to flash that one. Lehens just gets another summoner off the map. We see those Alistairs in our solo queue that sometimes just give up on their lane and do this. Well, Lehens didn't have a very fun bottom lane, and he's doing fun stuff on the other lanes.
Oh, he has no idea Lehens is still here, of course, because he put through the queue. This is a second one, smart move from Smeb, who's always had a very good top lane.
He might have known because of the minions, not 100% sure.
But I'm struck by the fact that Lehens is having kind of a terrible series. And they're winning anyway.
The rest of the team is just carrying him so hard.
Lehens has basically been in the right spot but tripped like 8 times now. And still, his team is winning. So it's a pretty nice job to be Lehens today.
Sometimes you have a bad day, you know? It's just like that song. But thankfully,
he's
got a bunch of friends to help him out.
Could I have Chovy smurfing in the mid lane while I have my bad day, please?
Well, Flash comes in and Smeb doesn't have his, and so you just give away your life. Had it pushing into him as well. You did not have to be that close to the Urgot, but I suppose just greeting for the Klepto procs once again, and he's going to pay for it.
Griffin is playing so well this game on a micro level that the YouTube highlights will be obvious. But again, the macro stuff that I keep trying to get to of being there to make sure your Urgot doesn't fall criminally far behind the clock in terms of 10 CS a minute, and then being there as Chovy outplays and baits. That's where it's unfair. That's where they're doing everything right. And you're KT Rolster saying, but we got good players. Where did it all go wrong?
Well, I feel like one of the only interesting series we've had with Griffin so far, as this is going to be a lot of damage. MT getting out of that one, but Lehens is here. Doesn't have his Ignite, but does he have the damage? It looks like with Chovy, yes, he will. As a third one will go the way, but this time you get that combination from the bottom lane, and it looks like Chovy, unfortunately, will be going down once again. Rip KDA. As he does go down on that one, Lehens still going in, as he wants to force this fight, but not really much will happen. As actually the chains will land. Doesn't look like KT want to continue on this, as they saw the Urgot coming in as well, and that will be the end of that one.
Really impossible to bait for a flash exhaust Darius for long enough in the mid lane. They're always going to see his roam up, so unlikely to pull that one off is Lehens. We've never mentioned Darius because he's been chilling bot lane. He was holding a pretty big CS lead for a while, but we've of course seen the misadventures of Lehens on the top side, which meant Darius has lost out on some minions. Speaking of minions, the quest is not there yet for Smeb, so he is farming with penalty.
So Zenit fighting here because he does have the Gragas coming in. Exhaust is going to be used. He's going for the kill, but this time around, Snowflower is going to be there in time. No cask for Snowflower as well, which means that in the end, actually a winning trade here for the side of KT. Although, actually, at the end, both of them do use both of their summoners, so pretty even at the end.
It was really greedy by Viper to walk up there.
Yeah.
The flash was fine because he was trying to flash ult. It didn't happen. Here's the replay, and it's all about Chovy having already a Lost Chapter and Sorcerer's Shoes when he should only have one of those 2 items. That's why he does so much damage. Nice roam timing for Lehens. In the picture-in-picture, trying to see if we missed anything. No one's dead. We missed so many things yesterday.
I know.
Chovy finally dies to ruin his KDA. People around the world, happy or sad, depending on how you feel about Zoe. But just no way to bait for Darius, and the roam-up was very opportunistic but unrealistic from Viper.
Lots of mid laners having their KDA ruined today as BDD. Rough game 1, rough start to game 2. Lots of depths so far. And he was in 4th place in the KDA before this series, so it's always unfortunate when you do go up against Griffin.
Good news, penalty is removed from the cannon, so finally can start farming more normally.
Play some League of Legends, you mean?
He's been able to put the enemy top laner quite far behind the clock, so decent stuff, even if not fantastic. Chovy's getting turret plates in a tricky matchup for the Zoe, so nicely done from him. Omti trying to join topside. We know that Sword has no flash after the summoner spells have been mixed around.
Tarzan is on the top side of the map. Looks like he may want to help out in the mid lane as they're just bullying BDD at this point. Not going to try for a kill just yet. As well, I spoke too soon. It's Tarzan nearby. Not quite going to get that one super close, but BDD is able to dash away. But the rest of Griffin on in here. We got a one-on-one up on the top side. And uh-oh, Smeb. Looks like you went a little bit too close to the sun. Can that stopwatch stop the ultimate? It will, but it will not stop his death, as Sword will pick up a solo kill on the top side.
No escape plan for Smeb. Even his trusty cannon, by far his most successful pick in history before today. 27 games, 22-5, 82% win rate. This guy has created so many montages of teleport flanks. Seems like it might not matter today, getting solo killed in lane by Sword. Now let's talking about how Sword is the player who often is the one you can pick on the side of Griffin. That's what they went with the late cannon rotation here to change up the lane assignments, but unfortunately, nothing doing for Smeb this time. Kingen was the one there for that victory last time. Kingen might be out there next time as well.
Yeah, definitely some sad feels for KT fans, for longtime Smeb fans.
For LCK
like
fans,
that.
right? Smeb is one of the most famous names in the history of Korean League of Legends, and just watch the timer here. The back time is actually fully taken by the Jarvan. And let's just see how this all started. Sword walks in, ghosts, and Smeb has no way to deal with it.
Yeah. Just gets too low on that one. Even blows his flash, too, to try to avoid the damage from the machine gun and the stopwatch.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough. It's an Urgot, for God's sake.
And
you're not going to get away from that one.
And the second part is even worse. Now he can't even team fight with a stopwatch until Zhonya's is done.
Yeah.
Least in here for a counter gank. Don't really know why you would counter gank. I guess it could have just been a proactive gank, but with flash up on Sword, you're not going to try and go for a aggressive play on the Urgot. He is finally, with that kill, starting to approach the sort of gold totals you would expect around the 14-minute mark. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for KT Rolster is a fair question to ask. They still have a lot of team fight wombo, but so far they haven't been choosing the right fights. Griffin have opened up a 2,500 gold lead, and if you get poked to death by Zoe, who already has plenty of items before the fight starts, maybe it doesn't matter about wombo combo.
Well, trying to chase onto Lehens, who has been the one guy they've been trying to pick on the side of Griffin. At least he was able to blow some flashes, got a decent gank in the mid lane. Now they're trying to turn onto Viper here. There's the cast and the combo, but Lehens says no onto two guys behind them and gets that kill. Finally, Darius will go down to so much pressure from the side of KT, so much commitment. But two more kills do go the way of Griffin, as now Smeb going to be in a lot of trouble. Even Sword getting into the mix now as the kick does come in. Can he pick up any more kills on the bottom side? Doesn't quite look like it. Nearly able to get the ticking damage there on a Snowflower, but 3 for 1 will be the trade to the favor of Griffin.
They want the bot lane turret as well to continue to extend the gold efficiency of that trade. It's after 14 minutes, but no problem. They want the turret. They'll take it. BDD has stayed. You wouldn't have expected this. You would expect a reset. So BDD hoping for an exit kill, but none presenting from Griffin.
How about a turret? How about a Cloud Drake? And how about a very hefty gold lead here, 4,500 already at 16 minutes as Griffin once again popping off. We'll have that Mountain Drake for the next time as Chovy still having fun in the mid lane. 4-1-2.
Still only 17 years of age as well. Chovy turns 18 in March. To finally be legal to drink in many countries around the world. Might have to drink after a game like this. We're watching this one here as...
Love that play from Lehens.
It's a gold lead as well, right? This is where everything coalesces for the side of Griffin. Chovy chases, and for once, he doesn't hit everything on the chase onto Smeb to try to get this kill, but it's all about pressure. That was his real flash used on the chase. They eventually pick up the kill. They eventually take them down, but I feel like the damage has been done in the first game and a half rather than in that particular moment.
You can afford to make some small mistakes there towards the end of a winning team fight when you're already ahead in game number 2. As now, Viper is Darius. He returns the Darius to the top lane where he should be, as that's where Darius lives. But trying to turn the tables here as Viper tonight with the Darius in the bottom lane. Just attempting to get another turret in the top side. Won't be able to do that just yet, but have to imagine that will fall sometime soon.
Well, Hens is just having so much fun hex flashing and control ward rushes.
I mean,
he saves Gragas. Thank you very much, Lehens. Why don't we think
he's definitely having a lot of fun,
that's
for sure.
Let's consider Lehens an honorary member of KT until he proves otherwise. Because so far, if you think about it...
KT's still losing 6v4. Somehow.
Somehow it's 1v12 for BDD, who isn't having the best series of his own.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you use Occam's Razor and you gotta call a spade and a KT player a KT player.
Well, I mean, he is 1-0-3, but he is playing like a KT player, we can say that.
Trying to get a bounty, you know? Gotta get a bounty to pass one over.
He needs to farm more, you know? He could be 0-5 and just farm up a couple minions, and all of a sudden, 400 gold above your name. You never really know with this new system.
Well, Griffin shadowing their members here. remember, doesn't have a lot of experience because nothing much has gone the way of KT, so any sort of dive onto Chovy with Ignite up is a scary proposition. Watching the mid lane, seeing what it all means. The map state here is not desperately bad for KT, especially given the gold lead already pre-20 minutes for Griffin. But this is where things start to change. When the two-man invades come in, and even with level 2 slicing Maelstrom, Kennen is having nothing doing against Lee Sin and Urban.
This is so far behind too, 0-3. Obviously, his CS numbers are low because of the Frostmancy. Ooh, BDD even missing the cannon, but you can't have it all. On some of these days, BDD's had to shoulder so much of the pressure on the KT lineup so far. In the games where they win and in the games where they lose. Sometimes you got to give them a break, so we'll see what happens in the rest of this game. Griffin very far ahead so far. As biggest loser in this one might just be Toby's KDA.
I think KT's hopes of making it to the playoffs is right up there with it.
Yeah.
Remember, we are, guys, if you're joining us late, this is, of course, LCK Summer Rematch. First time these two teams have played since that famous 5-game best-of-5. And while that was a turnaround on a 2-1 lead into a 3-2, feels weird to call 3-2 from 2-1 a reverse sweep, but, you know, basically a reverse sweep by KT Rolster. Only Smeb is still there from that particular day. Score not playing today in this game. And we talked about how the expectation for this series was KT's best hope is making us actually talk about that narrative and not talking about it as a false one. Snowflower almost loses his entire health bar, and here we go.
Looks like he might here as Tarzan. Well, those aren't the mechanics he were looking for, as maybe he will go down. No, Chovy gonna eventually save him, but he will eventually go down as Chovy looking for more kills on the backside. The rest of KT start the Yakety Sax as the rest of them are just on the opposite side. Nice try on that Trouble Bubble. Really looking for the angle as Chovy pulling out his protractor, getting the geometry going. Viper gonna pick up the kill as it's just a fiesta here as the game moves along as Griffin pick up 3 more kills.
Nice flank from Lehens as well, alley-ooping into the Darius for his dunk to take him down. The dunk mastering is being done on a team level. Viper actually has a Raptor Cloak, that's an item in his inventory here. Is Zerat Portal coming out, I wonder?
I mean, Griffin could probably build whatever item they want at this point, as Lehens is going to blow his flash. He's happy about that, though. He loves Hex Flash. He'll just use that for the rest of the game as BDD desperately trying to make a follow-up kill or damage or just some summoners on the Zoe happen, but it's not happening tonight.
Exactly. This is a very much 2019 normalcy rather than an extension of the past. And it's why I made that big effort to separate the importance of legacies and the history when it comes to what 2019 meta represents balance-wise, and also where the power rankings are. New Blood Rising, Griffin, the epitome of the New Blood. Second split, but looking like overwhelming favorites. We zoom out as Kennen's in trouble.
Oh boy, Smeb, look at Sword's health. He's not going to lose a single tick as down will go the Kennen. He's found again, and now it's Sword. 1v5, trying to get on in there. Zenit going to be left to the Wolves. On the backside, left to the Griffins, you can call them, as another kill goes their way. At least KT got a dream.
That's the best they could hope for. Game has gone to silly territory. It's 7,000 gold lead already. They're going to walk up to Baron, and good luck, KT, finding a way to stop them.
Yeah, well, you know, at least the 2 guys that went down are probably worth less gold than the full amount. 0 and 4 and 0 and 3 are the Kennen and the Yasuo. Now, Baron comes in here in BDD, the most desperate LeBlanc of all time, as now Umti in a bit of trouble here. Wanted to go for the steal as See You Later going to be pulled in there by the Darius. As now they're just looking for more kills. The damage comes in, and Viper, he's just kill stealing at this point.
I mean, you'll take it if you're the Darius, what you're all about, and damn, was I a fan of the alley-oop. They was scooped 800 units there with the flip into the apprehend.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when the long arms, the law from Griffin come out? You are found guilty, and you go straight to the death chamber. They turn on a Baron, they'll get the purple worm, they'll get the 2-0, and Griffin is just another day on the Rift.
Another day at work, as nobody really can come close to this team outside of Sandbox, who is at least able to take 1 win in a game. But nobody has taken the series just yet. Griffin say hello and laugh at their chance of going for this streak.
Yeah, it's just not much to say, Valdez. It's just
no analysis on that one, Papa?
No, it's what we call a gold lead. Don't need anything else. You can watch it on the screen and see it.
It's all about money in this world.
The Hens plays this really well because he has a lot of options to choose a target, and he chooses the enemy smite. Enemy smite goes down, the apprehend amusing, the dunk there, frightening.
As Tarzan, what is going on with you tonight, man? He's just really having fun, and will he go down to the Ignite? The answer is absolutely no. The rest of Griffin just want to get the kills. Umti looking for the Lee Sin. Desperately, he wants to get a kill, but he will not be granted it, as he will go down now to Chovy. 3 more kills gifted to the side of Griffin, as KT have all but given up here. No real chance for them to pick up this win.
Almost found Smeb for another exit frag, and feels like frag's the right term to call it rather than kills. The numbers are getting massive in this particular one. Bit of a fiesta here, but only on the side of KT. Controlled aggression from Griffin. This is what happens when they get going faster in the early game. They didn't even pick for the lanes, but things went their way. The inhibitor goes down, and we're just waiting on the win time from Griffin.
Griffin just so far ahead of pretty much any other team here in the LCK, and they prove it once again tonight. Chovy, he's got 10 stacks on a Dark Seal. He's just having a ball. Just unhappy that he died the one time. Let's take a look at how Tarzan decides to go 1v3 this time.
Now, on paper, you look at this and say, why is Tarzan doing that? But Valdez, look back and remember, for sure before this game, he said, CV Max, mate, I'm telling you, I can play Lee Sin. So he's trying to show the Lee Sin mechanics, and that's why things are a little bit wonky, a little bit disconnected from the rest of the team. They clean up because the gold lead isn't even worth talking about. But, yep, it seems like the claim for relevance on that Tarzan Lee Sin pick is what they're shooting for.
Yeah. Well, medallions built here for Chovy. Suppose that wasn't a surprise, especially he already has tons of damage, has a defensive item too. He's not going anywhere else in this game unless he ints a kill over to the side of KT. Doubt that will be happening. It's a lot of sad numbers on the side of KT, as once again it's just another scoreboard that tells a bit of the story of KT. It's BDD at 3-3, the rest of his team 0-6, 0-4, 0-3. Nothing really going here for KT so far in spring. Griffin continue their victory landslide of LCK.
When we have top teams, we always want to say, circle that calendar. They're playing X team today. Who is that team for Griffin? Is it just Sandbox in the second round robin and no other team has come close? I'm excited about the Hanwha Life game just because they ran them so close first time out, but this is not Griffin versus KT, LCK summer rematch. It's Griffin versus a bottom 5 team. Nameplate's off for KT. Nameplate's definitely on for Griffin.
Well, just looking to end this game here. I'm sure they want to get some more kills, no doubt, as Umti, he flashes away, but he runs onto a trouble bubble as Smeb, unfortunately, does 0 damage, and the rest of it is just going to go in the death chamber. Can they get all 5? The answer will be no for now, as they're looking for Snowflower. He's the only one to survive on the last fight of this one. A very sad and one-sided one here up against KT, but Griffin going to be happy to pick up yet another win here in the LCK Spring.
We say it for a reason, Valdez. Griffin enter every series they play expecting a 2-0 victory and being surprised by anything else. Surprised by Sandbox. Wonderful performance by them last time out, but this is the normalcy that has reigned the LCK. They have dropped one game in 7 best-of-3s, and they seemed pretty annoyed by that fact.
CV Max getting in there, whispering the secrets of Griffin into Sword's ear, giving him the thumbs up there as well, saying he played it very well. He had a fantastic game up against the Kennen, made it look very easy up against that guy. Handshakes all around, as now Griffin are 7-0 in series, going in opposite parity to Jin-Air now, as nobody has been able to take a series from them. And I doubt that the last 2 teams left here in the first round of LCK Spring will be up to snuff.
They've got a Freaka Gen G, both of which looked pretty abysmal this week, so hard to see Griffin going anything other than 9-0, and all that trash talk about 18-0, remember that was done by the opponents. They were the ones saying, I think they could go 18-0 based on scrim results. Sometimes scrim results you throw over your shoulder like salt and say, don't know about that. With this particular one, it's looking increasingly likely. No sighting of Score today. He was the story last time KT Rolster played Griffin. The story today is the winds of change in the LCK. They're breezy, Valdez. They're really breezy. KT Rolster is a proud org, but they are so far away from where Griffin is right now, it feels rude to talk about.
Yeah, and Riot Korea not holding back either. The full zoom onto Smeb. We talked about the sad feels for longtime LCK fans, longtime KT fans. He comes back into the lineup and just kind of drops the ball once again, especially in game number 2, not able to make his signature Kennen work. In yet another game, his Rumble didn't work, his Kennen did not work. What is working on the side of KT? It's really only BDD once again, and even he, up against Griffin tonight, couldn't have too much of a game either.
But it's a punishing season to fans, Valdez. If you're a long-term fan, you have to feel feels when you see one of the greatest superstars of Korean League of Legends close to tears, not knowing what to do. He looks so far off the pace against Sword, the one player people fancy when it comes to a lane matchup against Griffin, and what a punishing year it is to the people who stuck around and seen some of these personalities grow. Some of them are gone. Gone is Prey, gone is Bang. Some of them are suffering. Score wasn't even playing in this series, and we don't know exactly why that is, but you know, as a big fan of players like Smeb in the past and the history of this league, you got to say the people that showed up and like, I like this Griffin team, they'll be my favorites, are feeling a lot happier right now than the people who have seen the genesis of the stars, because every time we reference stars this season, we're talking about those stars going one way, and that's straight down.
Yeah, and it happened so fast too. I mean, it was happening a bit in the end of summer, right? SKT didn't have the best performances there. They changed their lineup. Now they're looking a bit better, but they're really the only team out of those, you know, those big stars that are left over. And now it's all about the new bloods, as we're talking about. It's Griffin, it's Sandbox, it's Hanwha Life and King Zone now, trying to make things happen, as this is a highlight you want to watch over and over again, as Chovy goes 1v2 essentially. Gets the 1v2 kill up against BDD, has the fancy footwork up against Umti, baits him into it, and then doesn't even need Tarzan to pick up this second kill.
The adage of chess versus checkers is overused, but that was some chess play in the mid lane by BDD, and checkers wasn't enough. Smeb, even on his career lucky charm, he's most famous for the Rumble, but his win rate and his plaudits have been there for the Kennen. Feels like a long way away from that amazing engage for the Rocks Tigers against EDG back at 2016 Worlds. 3 years later, nothing's working for Smeb, nothing's working for KT Rolster. Some nice barrels, you know that highlight's gonna be in their pre-match role later in the week, but otherwise you're gonna have to cut it short. It's all about Griffin in game number 2.
Take a look at more of Chovy being insanely fed and doing a lot of damage. Tarzan, as you mentioned, trying to show off here on the Lee Sin. First time he's played it since 2017. He was a 17-year-old rookie, as, you know, he was going a little bit too hard, but it looks like the mechanics are there at least. We were talking about it on his stream. He is extremely clean on the Lee Sin. Wouldn't mind seeing it once again, maybe in a real game the next time around.
Not too many real games when Griffin plays, so he definitely can try some stuff out. We had Orin, we had Elise support, we had Lehens playing for KT for half a game. It didn't matter. Yeah. Everything was fine, and we just closed it out here at the final moments of the game. Very one-sided. Credit to KT. Stood up pretty well in game number 1. We thought the draft from Griffin was a bit bold. Game number 2, a different proposition. This is the Griffin that people talk about in hushed tones around the world. Already start thinking about things like MSI when you see games like this.
Well, you'd have to imagine they are the absolute favorites to go over to MSI here, but yeah, it's a lot of damage there on the side of Chovy and nothing much doing on the side of KT. It's kind of what we were saying at the end of game 1, where looks a little bit close between a better team and a not as good team in game 1, but then generally, if the better team wins, game 2 is even more one-sided, and that's exactly what we got here for game number 2. It was a one-way street for the gold graph. Griffin pick up another win.
Always have your fun with the KT Rolster name, the roller coaster, but
not much of a roller coaster.
It's a sheer drop,
really,
right? That's the season, right? Usually the KT fans know that disappointment and excitement will always follow each other.
Yeah.
It just feels like disappointment. It just feels like a one-way trip, and we don't know how far down these trips goes. It kind of feels like Sandbox are already almost mathematically eliminated from relegations. They would have been the favorites preseason. Someone has to join Jin Air. And you look at the teams and you say, the 3 favorites, Gen G, Afrika, KT Rolster.
Yeah.
What are those 3 teams?
Yeah.
The 3 teams that went to Worlds last year. It seems like
Tells
almost guaranteed one of them's going to relegations.
Yeah. We had an idea about Jin Air, that they weren't going to be doing very well here in 2019, but we didn't quite expect these 3 other teams to be doing this poorly. But the results speak for themselves. I mean, KT lost to Gen G. They went against Afrika, but Afrika's, you know, they're playing support Jarvan. Is that really League of Legends at this point? As, Chovy picks up 2 MVPs tonight. That makes a lot of sense. Can't really argue with this replay.
Unbelievable play here. You win the MVP for plays like this. Beautiful stuff from him, looking for a season MVP, but having a lot of allies stealing votes from him. So, because of how the votes work in Korea, he actually does have some things working against him, but good news, a lot of game wins to potentially win that MVP in. Tarzan misses the cube, but gets to watch Jarvan just die to Zoe. Probably pretty good kill distribution if you think about it. Lee Sin doesn't need that one. He'll call it calculated. I'll call that one a whoopsie. But you're allowed little whoopsies if you're Griffin. Nice performance from them, and now that all that's left is to talk to the players and then to queue up the standard hour-plus break for Griffin.
It's going to be a long one, guys, but first we are going to talk to Chovy, who did pick up 2 MVPs. Always a very cute kid to talk to in the MVP, so excited to see what he has to say about this one. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-Sun for the translation. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Today we're going to be by Chovy from Griffin. We're going to be having a solo interview with him. Congratulations on your win and MVP. You're the solo MVP today. So you're on tie with Cleed for the first place. How do you feel? I'm really happy that I participated a lot to today's victory. So, well, actually, KT Rolster was the one to stop your winning streak. So, did that fact kind of distract you a little bit? I don't really pay attention a lot to my opponent. Rather, I just pay attention to my own play. So that actually did not distract me. What about other teammates? We all just don't care about that too much. Then let's talk about game 1. Well, a lot of people has been calling that Victor is more like a trap card because it has a very low win rate. Victor looked strong to me, so I tried it at solo queue. I thought it's kind of good, and it is actually easy to get laning priority against Zoe, so that was why. Then what's the biggest strength of Victor? Well, if there's any special ganks, it is easy for me to kind of push the opponent out of the lane.
있습니다. 어떤 계기로 선택한 픽인가요?
Then you guys also tried the Frostman C Ezreal on bot
어떤
lane.
전략이었죠?
What kind of strategy was that?
항상 바텀 듀오들끼리
Well, bot
좋은
duos,
픽을 찾아내서 갖고 와서 쓰는 편인데
they always come with some new ideas and
일단
good
좋으니까
picks.
쓴 것 같은데
So I guess,
말려서 잘 못 보여준 것 같고
well, that was one of the good picks, but
다음에는
actually they
좀
weren't
잘
able to
바뀌더라고요.
pull that off. So
네.
maybe they can show some better results next time.
1세트 초반에 좀 좋지 않은 상황이었습니다. 그때
So as you
미드에서
mentioned,
어떻게 풀어야겠다고
they actually had some hard times in the early game. So what did you have in mind to kind of solve the problem as a mid laner? Well, I was able to pick up some great spells with my W, but the Gragas was kind of camping too much in the mid lane, so I was trying to go a little bit defensively.
공격기를 빼주길래 한번 나가도 되겠다 하고 나갔더니
And then
그
Tarzan was able to
상황 따라서
make
잘못한 것 같아요.
Umti to use his ultimate, so I was able to freely move around the map, so it was easy for me to kind of turn the game around. And I want to mention here that Tarzan made a gank in the top lane, and they actually made KT Rolster to waste their Herald.
탑게임 간지 기억이 없어서
I don't remember his gank in the top lane, so I don't know whose call was that.
그라가스 갱 피하느라 지금
I was
하루 종일 신경
so
쓰고
caught up with avoiding Gragas gank in the mid lane, so I can't really remember.
좋아할 것 같아요. 자, 2세트 얘기해 보겠습니다.
Then let's move on to game 2.
엄청난 장면이 나왔었죠.
There were a lot of
미드에서
highlights,
2대1로
but especially in the mid lane,
지금부터
you were
함께
playing
보시겠습니다.
2v1, taking down all the players.
자, 이때 상황 설명 좀 해주세요.
So what was going on over there?
진교환 하려는데 갑자기 훅 들어오길래
I was also trying
아,
to
이거
do some
자르반에
damage,
풀 써서
but
떼어주면 죽겠다 싶어서 풀 썼는데 타이밍 맞게
I actually thought that if
누구랑
Servan
풀 타이밍을
make an
같이
EQ
쓴것
flash on me, I was close to dying, but
그 이때 좀
I was lucky to
위험했거든요.
dodge that and finish
같아요.
him
근데
as
이거
well.
또 살 수 있을 것 같아서 한번 해봤어요.
야, 어떻게 이렇게
Well, I did feel like if
예상대로
I
될까요?
could, I might be able to pull that off, so
어,
I was lucky maybe.
그냥 스킬을 잘 피한 것 같기도 하고.
Maybe I just
정말
sidestepped a little bit well.
자, 우리 2세트 하나 여쭤보고 싶은 게 바이퍼 선수의
We have another
다리우스가
question
등장을
here.
했어요.
Viper
어,
went with
상대의
Darius
픽에
in the
대한
bot
어떤
lane.
그런 전략으로
What kind of
선택을
strategy
한 건가요?
was
계속
that?
야스오가 나왔거든요.
Because then it kind of insisted on Yasuo.
주도권을 잡아오려고
We wanted to
본인이
get some
다리우스
laning
하겠다고
priority against Yasuo, so
강하게 내세웠어요.
Viper is the one who's asked for the
개인적으로는
bot
어떻게
Darius.
생각하세요? 다리우스 대 야스오.
How do you? What are your thoughts about the
그
Darius
란선
versus
선수가
Yasuo
TPM
matchup?
눌렀는데 다리우스가 CS 많이 앞서길래 유리한
Well,
거보다
during my
생각하고
laning phase,
야, 역시
I
바이퍼
went to
선수에
the
대한 믿음이 엄청났습니다.
Viper's stats and he had a lot of CS advance, so yeah, I thought he was doing well.
낮아지고 있긴 하지만 개인적으로
So we want to
아마
talk about your
스프링
KDA over
마무리
here.
이 정도 KDA는 달성하고 싶다.
What is your
이런
goal
목표가
to
있나요?
end your spring split in terms of KDA?
KDA 달성하고 싶은 것보다 게임 이기는
Well, I don't really pay attention to KDAs. I just want victories.
게임 이기기만 하면 돼서
네.
따로 목적은
No matter how low my
그래서
KDA
지금
is,
그리핀 선수들이 다
if you
KDA
just win the
달성하고
games,
있단 말이에요.
it doesn't really matter to
그걸
me.
좀 지키고 싶다 이런 생각은 안 하실까요?
Don't you really feel like you want to secure your high KDA?
선수들도 다른 선수들도 본인 KDA에 관심 없는 것 같아요.
Well, all the other players are also
초비 선수만 관심
not
없는 거
interested in
아니에요?
KDAs in Griffin.
그럴
Is that
수도
only
있고.
you or other players too?
알겠습니다.
Maybe
자,
just me,
인터뷰
I don't know.
마무리하기 전에요. 초비 선수의 아칼리 너프되면서 정말
So
슬퍼요.
the last
초비
question
선수
would be
어떻게
Akali. It got a huge nerf.
일단 아예 못 쓰게 만들어 놓은 것 같고.
It's really hard to play currently.
그냥 아칼리 하지 마라 이 생각으로.
I think
패치한
they're
것
just
같아요.
telling us don't play
선수는 정말
Akali
이
in professional
악물고
games.
말하셨습니다. 아까 1, 2세트 사이에 물 마시다가 물 흘리는 장면 나간 거 알고 계세요?
And Jovi, we
네.
we caught you on camera that
평소에
you
좀 흘리시는 편인가요?
while you were drinking water.
초반 라인전 졌다는 게 좀
Well, I was a little
아쉬워서
bit mad that I lost in
눈이
the
굳은 것 같아요.
laning phase. So
눈물이 아니라 입으로 물.
was that a tear coming out their mouth?
알겠습니다. 자, 초비 선수 얘기 정말
Maybe.
잘 들어봤고요. 이제 1라운드
So
얼마 남지 않았습니다. 각오 한
the
말씀
first round robin is about to end.
생각이에요?
Is there any last message?
항상 저희가 경기력이
Our performance?
실수 없이 할 수 있도록
Well, our goal about our performance is to make a game without any mistakes. I want to keep that and always want to execute that in every games. So this will be the end of the interview with Chovy from Griffin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-san, as always, for the wonderful translation. I love that they still have the hearts on the mics, as it is Valentine's week, I suppose, here at the LCK. Nothing but love for Chovy. I saw that Mina Kim was definitely enjoying that. The cute Chovy interviews are always fun to watch, but he's like, yeah, I just, I saw the kill, I went for it, simple as that. As it's hard to explain how good really Chovy is, and it seems like even he can't do it himself.
It's hard to hype opponents against Griffin as well, with how good Griffin is. It's tricky, Valdez. I find it hard because I think teams have to earn the right to be hyped when it comes to Griffin. Usually we don't have a team like this. Kingzone was similar a year ago. Again, we refer to SKT 2015 summer. And that was my first season casting at LCK. So this is the most recent. That was my first season. And I remember the struggle of just trying to dive into the stats or look into the smoke signals. How can I say this team has a chance against an all-conquering 17-1 SKT? And often they didn't. And even though KT Rolster had that beautiful story of never being beaten by Griffin, you just knew it didn't matter. This is the year where nothing matters about the past. KT, Genji, and Afrika are the closest to relegations next to Jin Air. They represented Korea on the world stage as the three best teams. Times change fast, but hopefully the next hour will pass fast so we can cast again.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to take that 1 hour break. Does say a lot about Korea, as Korea is changing so much nowadays. Griffin and Sandbox on top. We'll have to wait. But guys, we'll be back in about an hour for Hanwha Life versus Kingzone. Should be actually a very close series, so we'll see you then.